And the final game that we have for this episode is Trapwords.
Designed by Jan Březina. Sorry. I'm probably butchering these names. They have a lot of symbols I am not used to seeing. Martin Hrabálek and Michal Požárek. Artist is Régis Torres, and it's published by Czech Games.
So Trapwords is a game which I don't know if it's based on public IP, like public domain games or not from the past. But essentially, you are trying to set up trap words for the other team to not say while they give an explanation to the rest of their team to try to guess what the word is. Mm-hmm. So you play the game in teams. Obviously, you probably want to have similar sized teams or at least handicap it somehow if you got kids or whatever. In the middle of the board, there's going to be all these different tiles that form this dungeon. It basically is just 7 spaces on a race. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a boss at the very end who will have a card next to him that has some kind of special ability. You don't know what it is until you get there. A couple of the locations in the dungeon, basically as you go along, will have curse cards, but we'll talk about those in a minute. At the start of each round, both teams will get one card that they put into this little book that will only show one word through it. So picture a card that has like 6 words on it, but then picture this like little piece of cardboard that looks like a book that you put it in, and it only reveals through the window one of these words. So maybe the word is screwdriver. As a team, you have to think of trap words that the other team's going to use to talk to their team about it, right? So maybe they might use the word tool, or maybe they'll use the word, you can't use the word that's already in the word. So you can't say screw, but maybe you'll say tool or what else? Like turn. Rotate, turn, stuff like that. But you only get to make as many trap words based on the position of the board they are in. So think each space being one more. So if they're on space 3, you can basically make 3 trap words, bearing any curse cards that might come out. So you're going to write down all these trap words. Obviously, you don't show them. They do the same thing. When you're ready, one person on each team will be the code giver, or whatever it's actually called in the game. I don't know.
Right. But
they're going to be the person who's describing it to the rest of their team to try to get them to guess. So if I was on one team and you two were on another team, I would hand my card over to like Eric, and then Eric would have the word that says screwdriver. Now this is where it's turn-based. So your team would go first, or one team would go first or second. It really just depends on whoever's in last place on the board, whoever's last in the race. So Eric's team's going to go, right? Eric's going to read this off. He looks at the word screwdriver. So he starts talking. It's timed. The game comes with a sand timer, but we used a digital timer on a phone. So Eric's going to start talking, and he might explain it to Matt. He might be saying, you use this device in your hand to fasten 2 pieces of wood together, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So trying to avoid things that he might think that the other team wrote down as traps. If he says any of the traps, bam, nothing happened, or the other team yells and says, haha.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
That team doesn't move for that turn. Mm-hmm. If they guess, your team only has 5 guesses. If you get it right, then your team gets to advance to the next spot on the board. Then it's the other team to do the same thing. You reset, do the same thing over and over. Obviously, the farther you get in, the more traps can be applied against you. There's curse cards that you might reveal. I think some of them were like maybe you get to write down as many words as possible if you only get like 30 seconds or something, or you can get up to 10, I think. So you get a lot, but it's all impulse writing. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the other curse cards were. You remember?
One of them was
you have to close your eyes.
Oh yeah. Which we thought would not be that hard, but it ends up being kind of difficult. You're not allowed to sign anything. So as the code giver, you can't be like screwdriver and then make the motion of twisting. Right. So you actually have to speak. Obviously people talk with their hands, but I think that's okay. It's just necessarily you can't do pantomime. Mm-hmm. Anyway, first person to make it to the bad guy will flip over his card. The one that we played with was a mummy, and I think he just said get 2 trap or curse cards and apply them.
Right.
Otherwise, if both teams fail to advance in a round, then the bad guy comes closer to them, which will make the game end, sooner than just lasting forever if you're bad at the game.
Right.
So that is Trapwords in a bundle. And Matt, let's talk. What you think about this one?
I usually like word games, and this game was fine. Actually, it was enjoyable because it's a lot of fun to try and get in the other team's head, try and figure out words they're not going to say. It's also a lot of fun to hear them dodge around your words.
Yeah, because they know that you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do they know that they know you're going to know?
And so, and then I even got to thinking like it could go another level further. Like maybe you start noticing the team is just going with all these crazy words because they know you're not going to use easy words. So maybe you can just use easy words and try and trip the other team up like that. So there is like an actual strategy to the game. It's pretty fun to try and get in the other team's head and trip them up and everything. You think it doesn't sound difficult until you try and do it. Also, we tried it with a 30-second timer. Impossible.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Don't use a 30-second timer. We doubled it and we did a minute, and that seemed pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for newbies. But I still don't think 30 seconds would ever be enjoyable.
No. Right. That's just so little time.
Yeah. But I guess realistically, the cool thing about 30 seconds is you're talking fast,
right?
And you're
so
going to
trip
hit
up more often. So maybe that's really the purpose.
Maybe that's the reason. Yeah,
that could be the purpose. I did feel like, I don't know if it's in the rulebook because we didn't read this. We were taught this game, but I feel like maybe you should start with a minute for the first couple of games, or at least your first game.
Sure.
And then knock it down to 30 seconds because you got to be.
Yeah. You can't be concise.
Right. And I guess if you don't have as much time, you can't skirt around things very often.
Exactly.
You're going to fall into typical.
Yeah, because we had a lot. We had enough time to think to get around stuff. We didn't get trapped up too bad, I don't think. It didn't seem like.
Maybe a third of the time.
Right. Maybe a third. Maybe less than a third.
Really?
So maybe 30 seconds would be cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I enjoyed the game a whole lot.
I did too, right.
Enough so that I featured this on Token Punch Lunch.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
This last episode where I said you don't even need to buy this game. You can literally play this game with paper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for you to purchase it. Although, first off, CGE is awesome. You should totally support their game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying if you want to try before you buy, it is so much easier to just write all this stuff down. You can just write down a word. You can make up a word. You can grab any kind of trivia game that might have a lot of words in it and just use those components.
Right.
But even if you were nowhere and you had a piece of paper, you could play this game simply by just your team makes up a word that you're going to give to the other team and make traps. Obviously, that could be, a
little bit trickier
because some people, you got to just define. Don't do crazy words like anti-disestablishmentarianism. Yeah. Do like, normal words like spaceship or, forest or whatever. But I mean, you don't really need to buy this to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does come with some awesome components. It comes with a lot of stuff you don't have to think about because all the words are there. But I will say the only thing that is not there
are the curse cards.
Yeah.
It was a little lacking.
The 10 curse cards.
Right.
The one thing that would make this game a must purchase rather than, I could try it out without it.
Right.
I mean, the curse cards, obviously the monster cards, but you don't even really need to include that to try it out.
And there's not that many monsters.
There was 10 of them. There's 10 monster cards.
Okay.
There's 10 curse cards. So the dungeon tiles are neat. They look pretty. All the art and everything's great, but they're just steps
static,
to move.
Right.
Yeah.
They're almost unneeded. I think they came in individual squares.
Yeah.
But it could have just been one tile.
It could have been just one board you unfold because
you're right.
Yeah.
I don't. It escalates the number. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
Right.
That's it. So I don't know. I guess this game is pretty cheap as far as I understand, so it is worth buying anyway.
Right.
It's not like a $50 game.
I think it's like 20 or 25.
Yeah, that's retail, I think, too.
Oh, yeah. So you could get it for a good price. So
yeah, I definitely recommend this game if you like word games, you like party games, kind of like code names and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good addition to that, and it's different enough to own as well. So, what do you guys think? Final thoughts?
It was fun.
Yeah,
and like I said, I like word games, so
yeah. I was surprised.
Word games aren't on the top of my list, but yeah, I ended up liking this quite a bit.
Well, weirdly enough, I never even heard of this game until he brought it out.
No.
I think it released at Essen, possibly, I think.
Possible.
So maybe they haven't really been promoting it too much in the States because it's not out. Well, no, it is out. You can buy it at Cool Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like But there is over 5,000 games released a year, so
Right. We're not going to hear about all of them.
it is hard to hear about all of them, especially if it's a game that isn't normally on your radar. So either way, this should be on your radar if you got a large family or something like that you would play a lot of games with and you want one that's actually fun. This is better than Trivial Pursuit by a mile. So check out Trapwords.